Welcomes to Midday Sports with Rod and the Lunch Crew. I got my regular on here, Chris Dietz of Fifth Down Sports. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, and let's be the first to say, Rod, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
What a great day. Saturday was a great day.
Why was it a great day?
It was finally national semifinals that we could get invested in.
Hmm?
That you didn't have to turn off at halftime.
Well, I gave it a 10.
What they got what they wanted, Dietz, right? They got what they wanted when you put Alabama in the playoffs. And what happened, Dietz?
I don't think they got what they want. I think they were shell shocked. I think they were shell shocked by Michigan by the flop that was Michigan. And I think the powers that be got shell shocked by TCU, and now they're stuck sitting there going, man, we let these guys in, and now they've got a shot at hoisting the trophy.
Because it's not a sexy team. TCU is not a sexy team for marketing. That's the biggest problem.
It's not a marketing. It doesn't market them anywhere. I mean, even in Texas, I mean, the headline's going to read TCU wins national championship, Longhorns finish whatever. Like, Texas doesn't care about TCU. All they care about are the Longhorns.
But these, I don't think it's going to be easy as people think. TCU, this Georgia Bulldog team, you see, they got to C.J. Stroud at will. You see how that corner's knocked out Marvin Harrison Jr. You see that hit on?
See, that's the difference. That's the difference between TCU and Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ohio State? Yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. Fantastic. I mean, just watch the catch he made in the end zone, where in the back of the end zone when he got absolutely killed and still tapped his feet down to make the catch. It was one of the best catches you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of guy. I mean, go back to Marvin Harrison Sr. Marvin Harrison Sr. was that kind of guy. Never the biggest guy, never the fastest guy, never any of those kinds of things. Just a guy that did everything right. That's the kind of guy Marvin Harrison is. Now Georgia's got to face a guy in Quentin Johnson who's completely the opposite of that. Where, yeah, he might drop a few balls, but he's the fastest guy on the field. He's the tallest guy on the field. He'll out-jump anybody on the field. So TCU has that dude that they can throw the ball up to, and they know, all right, we throw it up to him 50-50. It's more of 80-20 because we know he's going to come down with it. That's the difference between the TCU offense and Ohio State offense. Now, I agree. I think Georgia, what happened to Georgia on Saturday is bad news for TCU.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Georgia's woke up Georgia, and now it's up to TCU is going to have to come out of the gate. They're going to have to storm out of the gate, because if they let Georgia hang around, Georgia's going to get them by will.
And
if Kirby, they let them hang around,
you think Kirby's
not come out of the gate?
You think Kirby want to get embarrassed like that to lose to TCU?
No, no. You can't lose this. As Kirby Smart, Kirby Smart can't go in and be the team that lost to TCU.
No.
You'll be no. I don't care that you want. This is your back-to-back national championship games, and you won last year. If you lose to TCU, you'll forever be known as the program that lost to TCU in the national championship.
They built something great, so they got to keep this dynasty coming, because he's recruiting against these juggernauts of recruiters. You got Dion in Colorado. You know what I mean? You got these big recruiter players You got Jimbo. You got all these people. You got Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley. You got so many Texas. You got all these big recruiters. If you lose to the national championship to TCU, you don't think them smart coaches gonna be like, you want to go to Georgia where they lost to TCU?
Exactly.
Exactly. Play here.
And nobody will say, "Oh, it was in the national championship." They'll just say, "You want to go there where they lost to TCU?" And people go, "Yeah, they lost to TCU. I don't want to go there." Like that's why this is a huge game for Georgia. But I mean, again, Georgia has the best player on the field, so they should win the game. They should. Right? Nobody on TCU can match up with Brock Bowers.
Like where?
I mean, there's not many teams that have anybody who can match up, but TCU has nobody on the roster. Nobody on the roster that's as big, as fast, and can keep up with them. So TCU is very outgunned here, but at the same time, if you've watched TCU play this 13.5 point spread that it's at, I expect this to be down to about 11, probably under 10 by time kickoff starts. Like they're begging you right now to take TCU.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna take them. You know what I mean? Like I told the guy at my job, I said, man, Georgia. I mean, not Georgia. Ohio State is going to do good, but in the biggest moments, y'all gonna drop because Kirby's he just not apply that pressure on that with them in the trenches with them defense linemen. And he's gonna make you uncomfortable. He's gonna make you uncomfortable. And
TCU is gonna have to figure out a way to. I mean, this is just a bad matchup. It's such a bad matchup from a standpoint of you look at what TCU runs. TCU runs a 3-3-5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Guess what works against that style defense? Downhill running. What does Georgia do best? Downhill running. Everything in this matchup is screaming Georgia.
Mm-hmm. But man, I just feel like, you know what I mean, that's what they've always been based off, running that ball, man. Yeah. All them SEC teams. You look at Alabama. Look all the slew of running backs they had, from Trent Richardson to Derrick Henry to Mark Ingram. That's what it's all about. Running the ball, work off that, and pass. 50% run.
Absolutely. But again, everything in this game is screaming Georgia's way. And that's why I would be very scared of that 13.5 Georgia. I'd be very scared of that because I think TCU is going to keep it close. I think they have too much pride on that team, too much on that team to let it get out of hand.
I understand what you mean, Deets, but I feel like, man, when you punch a giant like Georgia, well, I keep on saying Alabama. I don't know. Alabama just been beating in my head so much for the media.
Because Kirby Smart just reminds everybody of Alabama.
You know what I mean? What they are doing, man, defensively, and I got to give props to that quarterback Stetson. He's been doing his thing, man. We all talk. A lot of people talk shit about him, but he does what Kirby asks him. And he's very coachable, and he takes what the defense give him. So I can't really be mad at him. But I feel like this team is the most complete team to get it done, man. We said this at the beginning of the year. Last year, I just think they're a complete team. There's going to be a lot for TCU to overcome Georgia.
Yeah, again, I think it's good. I think it's going to be a lot to, it's going to be way too much for TCU to win the game. But what I question is 13.5. I would say more of.
No, 9, I can't take that.
8 or 9. I'd be 8 or 9. I'd be like, all right, Georgia can do that. I don't see this being a laugher in the championship game. I think it's going to be closer than people think.
And you're regardless, you're going to have to put so much money down to even get anything back. It's going to be ridiculous, regardless.
Yeah. Oh yeah, And by the way, based off the last two games, take the over.
You think he's gonna go over 68 or whatever it's gonna be?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Would you be surprised though if Georgia goes up 21-0? Would you be surprised?
No. Well, it's like I said, everything is leaning Georgia in this way. If they jump out 21, but I would still say, even if they jump out to 21, you're still if you're betting this game, which if you are, I would just say bet the over and watch the game for fun, because if Georgia does jump out to 21, TCU eventually is going to put points on the board. Sonny Dykes is going to find a way to put points on the board. So you're okay with that. The question's going to be, can Georgia, and we've seen Georgia can put up 40 points. I think Georgia will score 40, and I think TCU will score. They'll score at least 20, at least 24 points. So that's what you're looking at. So I would bet the over and just watch the game for fun.
Man, but do you see this? I don't see the Michigan losing to TCU as a fail, man. I think Michigan had a great year coming back from all the injuries they had with Blake Corum, the lead running back.
That's where I was going to go with it. If Blake Corum had played and they lost, I would consider it a failure. But without Blake Corum on the field, it's not surprising. In any kind of a playoff situation, whether it's NFL or whether it's college, whether it's high school, if you throw 2 pick sixes, you're not going to win the game. You can't turn the ball over, but at the same, even worse, you can't turn the ball over into defensive points. And I said it. I said it when we did the breakdown on Fifth Down Sports. I said the way they have to do this is force JJ to throw the ball, and they forced him to throw the ball. And I really think what happened is Michigan came out and they said, that first drive was a mirage for Michigan. They came out, they ran the ball, they had that one big running play, and they said, we're just going to run right over these dudes. And then they get stuck, fourth and goal, they get stopped. And then they said, the running didn't work down there, so now we're going to try throwing it. And when they tried throwing it, you saw what happened. I just think Michigan had too much to overcome. It was at the end of the day, man, I like JJ, but he's not – I can't expect him to win the game for me. Is that fair to you, Steve? Yeah, you can't expect his arm to win the game. You can't expect his arm to win the game. You just can't. And you saw that after the second interception. What did they do after the second interception? They ran a quarterback draw, and he ran for about 70 yards. You saw the athletic. JJ's got such great athleticism. But you knew, all right, you got to throw the ball, and JJ's not gonna be that guy.
I think he should really think about switching positions, man. I think he's fine. I think you got to remember, this kid is a sophomore. I mean, essentially, I know he's a redshirt. It's a redshirt freshman, and so and with a guy like Harbaugh as his coach, with the guys that Harbaugh has access to, as far as guys who can come in and help him out, all the skills are there for JJ to be a good quarterback. He's just got to hunker down and get his accuracy down, because he's got enough arm. His arm, there's no question about that. He can throw the ball as far as anybody. He can run better than any quarterback in college football. And so this is what happens to guys. Guys that are sophomores are not accurate with the football because they've never had to be accurate with the football. But Deets, sometimes you can't teach accuracy.
Sometimes you can't. But
you know how many quarterbacks have been through the NFL that can throw it 80 yards, but it's
But
not accurate worth shit.
you can't give up on him based on how he played in a championship game. I mean, everything else about JJ McCarthy says he's on the right track. Now we've seen guys go in the tank. We've seen guys get better. I would bet on that JJ is going to get better from his sophomore to his junior season, and then see where he goes from there. I mean, if he has a really good season next year, I don't expect him to be back, but we'll see how he goes down the road. But I don't think off this game you could say, oh, let's change him up. I mean, you made the switch to him at quarterback for a reason, and all he did was win 13 games for you. So
yeah, let's move along to some NFL. Because I'm not watching none of these bowl games tonight. I don't know about you. You watching some of these bowl games tonight?
I'll be working, so I'll see if I can get some. I'll see if I can pirate some of them off YouTube. I'm interested. The most interested part that I'm looking at is
The LSU versus Purdue.
What do they do in the Cheez-It Bowl? How do they memorialize Mike Leach? That's what I'm looking for out of these bowl games. Is what do they do to Mike? What do they do for Mike Leach? Because Mississippi State will be playing Illinois.
That's a cool little prime shirt too. I'm just now noticing, Deets.
Yeah,
your prime time shirt.
Christmas gift from Brother Tom. So
okay.
I figured it would work for the show because we always talk about Coach Prime, and so but that's what I'm looking for in that game. As far as players, I don't know if Brown's going to play for Illinois. Otherwise, that's the only guy I'd be looking for. And then I saw the other game that was playing. I know Purdue is playing in a bowl game tonight.
Yeah, versus LSU. That might be all right.
The guy to watch in that game is Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones,
wide receiver for Purdue, is a guy that showed up in the Big Ten championship, put his name on the map. If you're an NFL guy, this is a guy, he just gets open. Mm-hmm. He just gets open, and they throw him the ball. He's got over 100 catches this year. That's the guy That's the guy I'm looking at mostly in the two games tonight.
But, I was going to watch the Penn State versus Utah, but my boy ain't playing, man. Hey, Beats, right now, I want him so bad to come to the Patriots, Joey Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
A lengthy guy like that.
You know how many of these guys that I've seen come out and say, how can these kids not want to play in bowl games? Look, schools have been making millions off these kids. It's a $1 million decision to get on the field.
Preach.
I don't blame any kid that doesn't want to play in a bowl game. I don't blame them one bit, because these schools have been making so much money off these kids all year long. For them to say, hey, we're so close to the goal line, we're so close to the end of the season. Yeah, if you break your leg, if you have a knee injury, if you have
your money done,
anything, you're done. If you step on the field and and you don't have it that day, your draft stock can plummet. Why would you even want to put that effort out there? I mean, I'm not talking about if you're a borderline guy. Like if you're a third round pick, yeah, you should be playing in the bowl game, because you can go from a third rounder to a first rounder like this. But if you're if you're already projected first round guy, you can go from a first round pick to a third round pick like this. And guess what? That's millions of dollars. That's millions of dollars right off the gate.
Millions. But let's talk about my boy Tom Brady. That comeback he had. That comeback we had. Tom Brady, man. If I'm anybody next year, I think this is last year on his contract. I believe so, Deets. I think
so.
it is. If I am the 49ers, I'm doing a 1-year rental on him. I think he could take that team to the Super Bowl. Or the Raiders, something like that. I'm doing 1-year rental. What's your thoughts about that?
How much would you love to see that? How much would you love to see that? Just to see what Snowman would say. Just to see what Snowman would say if Tom Brady showed up in a San Francisco uniform.
Could you imagine him winning his 8th ring? Could you imagine him winning his 8th ring at the Bay? A childhood guy from California, grew up in that Bay Area, winning his 8th ring at Tampa. I mean at San Francisco. How sweet would that be?
I would just want to see it just for the spectacle of it. But yeah, I don't think any of that's gonna happen. I don't think any of that's gonna happen. I think he's. I don't know if he's want. I don't. No, nobody knows what Tom wants to do. Tom will decide. Tom will decide what he wants to do. I don't think he'll be back I don't think he'll go back to Tampa Bay.
Nah.
I think that's 100%. He's not going back to Tampa Bay. Not if it continues with the same regime they have now.
No. I feel like they did the right thing though. Tampa did the right thing.
I feel like he's not. I feel like Tom is not done.
Did you see these? This is how bad I knew he wanted the game. If Tom Brady going for it at goal line for a quarterback sneak, he wants it bad. You see the fire in him still. For a man to be 40-something years old, that fire like he's still in year 8, it's crazy to me. Them throws he did. Mike Evans became Mike Evans.
The funny thing about the coverage of this game is everybody said, "Oh, Carolina! Look what Carolina beat Tampa last time." And how did they allow Mike Evans to do this, that, and the other thing? If you watched the first game, Mike Evans had 3 of those plays. The 3 plays he caught for touchdowns, he had them in the first game. He dropped them all. This game, the difference was Mike Evans didn't drop them.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike Evans there was a play in the first game where Mike Evans was running and there wasn't a guy within 30 yards of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom threw the ball and it hit Mike Evans right in the hands and he dropped it. And he just clean dropped it. You would see this game this past Saturday, yet Mike Evans didn't drop nothing. And you see what happens when Mike Evans doesn't drop the ball. When Mike Evans doesn't drop the ball, he's dangerous.
Exactly, man. But this team, man, I'm telling you, Tom, what he's making government cheese, grilled cheeses out of Tampa, and it's going to take them to the playoffs, man.
Well,
the struggling team to the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs. They're going to get a home game in the playoffs. So everybody that's been on the. And I've heard this about. I heard this from people. I heard this from people talking at the bar yesterday during the game. Somebody looked over and said, "Oh, Tom Brady is playing. Tom Brady's having such an off year. He's 3rd in the league in passing." I'm like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Tom Brady? No, Tampa Bay has had an off year. Tom Brady is playing one of the best years he's ever put up. Yeah, he's not throwing touchdown passes, but he's 3rd in the league in passing yards.
And he's almost 50 years old.
What are you talking about? I was like, what in the world are you? I was like, what in the world are these people? Yes, he's not having they're not 14-1 and they're not doing all that. But Tom Brady's not having an off year. If that's an off year, then yeah, he's definitely coming back next year.
But let's go to another thing, man. How bad does this look for David Carr? First of all, you let Jarrett Stidham.
Well, for David Carr, he looks bad anyway because he's probably getting sacked right now, still getting sacked. But for Derek Carr, this might be the best thing in the world for Derek Carr because it gets them the hell out of Las Vegas.
But look at Jared Stidham. Look what Jared Stidham
You know
had.
what? I'll give a shout out to my buddy Keith.
Sure.
My buddy Keith at the bar said this exactly. Las Vegas did him dirty, and they did Derek dirty. And what did they do yesterday that they haven't done all season?
Go ahead, break it
They
up.
opened the offense up. They opened the offense up, and they threw the ball all over the place. They were allowing Davante Adams to go downfield and throw the football up to him. How many times did we see Derek Carr do? How many times did we see them allow Derek Carr to do that? None. Never.
But
They never were allowing him to throw the ball down the field. They were always having him do these precise passes and these short little slant things and swing passes and all that. Now, you could tell me, that's Derek Carr's game and it has to do with him. But the way the game was called, that game yesterday was called totally different than every other Raiders game that I've seen this season. So, yeah, they did Derek Carr pretty dirty.
But also, I got to say this, though, man. What happened to that San Francisco defense? Oh, they did 1985 Bears. People was pumping them up. You let a third string quarterback, second string quarterback light you up.
They fell into exactly what they are. They're a defensive pass rush. And if the pass rush doesn't get home, that secondary is not good. That secondary is not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it showed. That's what it showed. And it showed what can happen when people forget how good Davante Adams is. When you have a good wide receiver against a bad secondary, you can cook a lot of things up. You can cook up a lot of things if you have a very good wide receiver. And Davante Adams, there's no doubt about it. He's the best wide receiver in the league. He's the most talented. He's the fastest, tallest, jumps the highest, catches everything. He's the best wide receiver in the league. And there's no question about that.
I think he's one of the best route runners in the league.
Yeah. Every single skill, he's at least top 3 in.
I say Justin Jefferson and the rest of the guys underneath that. Because Jamar Chase is not really – he ain't really a rowdy guy. He's not one of them guys.
Jamar Chase has 3. He has 3
routes. Yeah.
He runs a streak, he runs a post, and he runs a 15-yard dig. That's it.
AJ Brown got it too. He got some routes too. He can run some couple routes at precise with that double. That double move is dangerous by him. That double move.
Yeah, AJ Brown is more of a get him the ball, and you saw what happened. He got pissed that he wasn't getting the ball. The very next play, they give him the ball, and he breaks a tackle and goes 70 yards.
Also, I got to take a shot for Seattle for getting it done. I'm sorry I got an Eagle Cup. That's my old lady. She's an Eagle fan. But I'm still going to take a shot. You know what I mean? Little maker's mark early.
There you go.
Man, because they did what I thought they were going to do, man. This Jet team, I told you, without Bryce Hall, they're nothing.
Put the Jets to rest, so good for them. Thank God. Thank God for that. As far as putting people to rest, the Giants did what the Giants have to do, and now it becomes interesting.
Like, how do you
feel for the New York Giants? Do the Giants play this game? Do they play the game to win, or do they play the game to, all right, we need to get ready for the playoffs?
You got to play the game to win.
Because the I need the Giants, all right? I need the Giants to win. Giants win, Cowboys win. I don't know how much I can count on Arizona, but
no, don't count on them at all. but at the end of the day, man, when the last time y'all had 3 teams in the playoffs in the NFC East?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I think the last time was it like the RG3 was there. That's what I'm thinking. That's the last time I remember.
I don't even think when RG3 was there. I think Washington was the only team that got in that year.
Was it not the Cowboys though? The Cowboys.
Well, I know RG3 beat RG3 beat. I know they played Seattle. I
don't remember the last time y'all been.
I don't remember the last time they had 3. The last time they had 3, I'd have to look that up, but I would say it's somewhere in the mid 2000s.
But I'm saying this overall, man, how I like the Giants, how the Giants been playing. It hurts me to say because the Giants took 2 Super Bowls from us, but their defense is just been nasty this year. And if Barkley can be healthy, but only thing I feel that Brian Daboll, he got a lot out of, Daniel Dimes, Daniel Jones. He got a lot out of him this year, and which I think saved his career, man, because people was trashing him before Brian Daboll got there, talking about releasing him and stuff.
I think what happened. What you have to look at for the Giants is the Giants have played well against bad teams. You look at the Giants season; they have played. Yeah, they can play great when they're playing against the Indianapolis Colts with Jeff Saturday as their interim coach.
Can we put this to rest, man? Or say get a real coach there, man, and let him have the reins, because what you're doing, I think Purdue can beat you right now.
You can't have a makeshift. You can't have a makeshift coach. But again, they tried something. They tried to do something in the middle of the year that I think they kind of knew that it was going this way. But I mean, you can't have that. But that's what I'm saying about the Giants. Like, the Giants looked great yesterday against the Colts. Mm-hmm. You look at them 2 weeks ago. This wasn't the same Giants team that played 2 weeks ago. This wasn't the same Giants team that played against the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. So against good teams, the Giants have struggled. And guess what? You don't play the Indianapolis Colts in the first round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're going to end up playing the Vikings or the 49ers. And that's a problem for the Giants.
And also, I got to say this, Beats. After I watched this Eagles team without Jalen Hurts, you got to give this man the MVP, man.
I said it in the chat on the morning. The last 2 weeks have shown you that Jalen Hurts is the MVP. That Eagles team is. You go from a team that's putting up 30, 35 points a game. You only put 10 points up against the Saints.
And you look at Patty Mahomes struggle against that Denver team. You know what I mean? That Denver team, Denver Bronco team. You gotta give it to Jalen, man. Yeah. Jalen been balling this year.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say struggled. This is what Pat Mahomes struggling is 328 and 3 touchdowns. That's a struggling game for him. That's what makes Pat Mahomes crazy, is that you can look at that game and be like, yeah, something's off with him, and he still throws for 320.
It's still that's
struggling.
That's a struggling game for him. Yeah. But man, what else? What else was real interesting, man? Let's talk about this. Why people don't give my Patriots props defensively, man? We're thieves on deep in that secondary, man.
No,
we're thieves
because people don't want to look at what the Patriots do well is what everyone hates. What do they do well? They defense and running. Well, guess what? Everyone hates that. They want to see 50. They want to see 50-point games. They want to see guys. What the Patriots do is they get you to 3 and out. They get you to 3rd and long and force you to make a play that you shouldn't have to make.
Look at that. We used the Tampa shell like yesterday. The Cheetah had 46 yards. Jalen Waddle only had like 50 something, and that's not talked about.
Well, it's
that's
like
hell of a game plan.
It's like anybody. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Anytime a rookie starting quarterback, or a second-year starting quarterback plays against Bill Belichick, he eats them alive. Well, when a third-string quarterback has to play against Bill Belichick, it's even worse. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. Yes, that's what happened yesterday. And I mean, we have to touch on this. Tua Tagovailoa,
you should be done.
His career is probably over.
You can't put nobody in that. And you know what he kind of remind me of? What's the Bears quarterback, man? What's in the Super Bowl? Jim McMahon, right? All them concussions, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like you got to release him, because you can't take a chance on him getting a third one next year. And you gonna get lawsuits in the later end. If I was his family members, I told him, man, it's time to retire, man.
Yeah, you can't keep on taking shit. You can't get 3 concussions in 1 year. You can't put him back. You can't put him back on the field. You just can't.
And I feel like Mike McDaniels did not do what he had to do, man. He could have easily won this game by moving the Cheetah around. You're making it too hard. You could did a jet sweep with him. You could did some mash routes, but you didn't want to. You're like Kyle. You and Kyle think too. You overthink the game plan. If you're not getting something, you got to move these players around. They're too dynamic receivers not to move them around. Gets the secondary. You can move them around. A jet sweep got to them edges. You could have won the game. You can't put all that pressure on that back. You know what I mean? The second string and the third string, Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar. What's his name? Skylar Thompson, whatever his name is. You can't put all that pressure on them. You got to move them weapons around. And that tight end. Why do you have that tight end for? You don't use them.
Yeah, that makes no sense. You have one of the most athletic tight ends in the game, and he barely runs routes, let alone catches the ball. He barely even goes out for a pass.
But I gotta say this, man. Somebody stock rose this season, man. It's Julius Peppers. If he doesn't get paid, man, how versatile this guy is. Man, I think he's definitely getting paid in the offseason, man, because he's still got a lot of life in his career, man. He's a versatile, he can go play nickel, he can play strong, he can move all the way around.
You mean Jabril?
Jabril Peppers.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, Julius Peppers has been retired for a while.
Jabril, my fault. Jabril.
Yeah. No, Jabril Peppers is. The guy is one of the most athletic players in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And this is a guy who is a safety, and he played defensive end at Michigan. Mm-hmm. Not like, he played defensive end at Division II or whatever. No. They used him as a defensive end. That's how good he is. That's how good of a player he is. They were using him to rush the passer at Michigan. And then he was back, and then he would go back and return punts. Like, what? Who does that? But yeah, no, Jabril Peppers is real good. And for a guy like Bill Belichick, for a defensive mind like him to have a guy like Jabril who can do all those different things, it's a match. It's a match made in heaven right there.
Also, Kyle
play well with each other,
especially Kyle Duggar, man. That his covering skills, man, are definitely evolving in the right turn. You know what I mean? He's definitely looking great this year. That pick 6 he got and took it to the house.
Although I don't like that you lost your big guy. You lost Jones this week.
Who? Jonathan Jones?
The corner.
Oh, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think we're gonna lose. I think we're gonna lose Devin McCourty in the offseason too. I think he's a free agent after this year. I think somebody's gonna pick him up. I can see him going to the Raiders. To be honest with you.
I mean that the Raiders where contracts go, where people go to die. I mean that's
where Patriots go.
That's pretty much what everybody does is, oh, my career's ending. All right, I'll go play for the Raiders.
But man, I feel like, man, Bill, man, I liked it. Like, this is the only thing I don't understand, man, about why don't y'all use KB more? You know, McKendrick Bourne. You can do so multiple things with him, but keep throwing it outside. This man runs a 4.2. You saw that vertical route he ran. He was by himself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep somebody that runs 4.2 vertical routes, maybe like a quick slant. He's not no slot receiver. He's an outside receiver. Like, come on. You seen him at Baylor. That's why you get speed like that. You know what I mean? You keep him on the outside.
Well, the only reason to keep him, the only reason to put him in the slot is because you can move him around. You can, and you'd have to see how he is. If he's lined up on the outside, the problem with lining him up on the outside is you go against a corner that can get hands on him.
Mm-hmm.
He can't see if you line him up in the slot. He's a couple of yards off the line of scrimmage. You can't get hands on him right away. He can get away from that. That's probably what they're looking at, and that's something that he's got to work. He's got to work on not getting jammed up at the line of scrimmage, because if he's going to be an outside receiver, you're going to get jam coverage every time.
And what you call a showdown too? I got to give him some Hunter Henry. That 29 ball Mac Jones gave him. It was great, spot on. But man, it was a good team win. On to Buffalo. I don't got too much hopes they're gonna beat them. I'm a realistic fan. I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad with this 8 wins.
On to Buffalo. I mean, it all depends on what happens tonight. I mean,
I feel like Cincy got a chance to win though, but
if you're a Patriots fan, you kind of want Cincinnati to win this game and make it so that Buffalo really has nothing to play for next week.
Yeah.
I know, Buffalo's probably not going to look at it that way. They're probably not going to look at it as, oh, if we have nothing to play for, they're probably going to sit there and say, well, what we're playing for is to keep the Patriots out of the playoffs. That might be enough to motivate them, but it also might be enough for them to say, hey, let's take the pedal off the gas a little bit. And that's what you're hoping for if you're the Patriots, because you're going to need all the help you can get.
Yeah, man. I definitely feel that the Baltimore got to pay Lamar Jackson, man. You can't go with Tyler Huntley. I don't think that's what's going on with this Baltimore Ravens team, man.
What happened is they ran into the juggernaut that is Mike Tomlin. I mean, Mike Tomlin, how many weeks in a row are we going to say, oh, is this going to be the season Mike Tomlin has a losing season? No, apparently not, because they have just roared back these last 3 weeks. Ever since they've gotten to that 8th loss, they've said, we don't want to be that team. We don't want to be known as, 2022, the only team that Mike Tomlin ever had a losing record with. Like, apparently they don't want to do that. And Mike, nobody's talking about this. It's an amazing event for Mike, what Mike Tomlin has done and what he's done with this team this season. This team was garbage this season.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get them to 9 wins, what he's done has been amazing to get them to 9 wins.
And again, man, he just finds a way to motivate these players.
And the only thing that stands in their way is the Cleveland Browns. So
let's talk about this, man.
I firmly expect them to be 9. I expect them to finish 9-8.
Let's talk about this team, man. Deshaun Watson, for him to sit out for a year, man, he slowly got better and better each start he had, man. And them throws he was making, they were good, man. He did what he could you imagine him being there the whole week 1 with this record of this Cleveland Brown team could have been?
Yeah. The NFL destroyed the Cleveland Browns season right from the jump. They kind of knew that this was going to happen. I mean, you can't sit out an entire a year and a half worth of football and expect a guy to come in and just. And as we said, they would have had to, right the ship, and they did. They didn't have the ship even close to right when he came back. So. But this is kind of what you expect out of Deshaun. Now you look at it and you go into next year with a lot of promise in Cleveland of what's going on. So at least they have a quarterback now.
I'm telling you, you get some more weapons, another receiver. They could do anything with this team, man. I feel like this team next year is going to be definitely a deep run playoff team.
They got to get guys to block. That's what they got to get guys that can block because
definitely in the trenches. They definitely need some fixing pieces on the trenches.
They've got the skill guys. They just need to block. They just need to get guys that can because Deshaun Watson's not going to be able to do anything if you can't block for him.
No. But I said this. He's definitely a gifted quarterback, man. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's got a line. He can eat you apart. I remember when he did to my Patriots when Houston back in the day, what he did, I think one year when he threw for 70% for the whole year or over 70%, he had led the league in percentage QBR or something like that. He's definitely a gifted quarterback. So let's see what they do next year.
And as you said, get him weapons. They just need to get him one. They just need to get him one big weapon because when he had DeAndre Hopkins, those two were outstanding. So you get him one big weapon that he can play with. You get
Amari Cooper,
lineman, and Cleveland will be okay.
That tight end they got too at Cleveland ain't bad either. Didn't they get him?
Njoku?
Yeah, he's not that bad.
Yeah, Cleveland's in a good spot. The NFL shot them down at the beginning of the year. They did not want Cleveland anywhere near anything this year. Just for the headline, they did not want the headlines. So,
but not man, that Najee catch too by Pittsburgh. I mean, when Najee Harris, that was a good next level catch he made, man, in the end zone. I feel like the Steelers, man, Mikey T know how to win, man. Again, I hate to say it, man. I don't know how does he keep this streak alive, man, not to have a losing season. But that man is definitely
like I said, with this group, with this team, with Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. I mean, what are we if the Steelers, if you can't get the Steelers, and not to mention they have one of the best defense. Oh, TJ Watt goes down game 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there was any year, if anything could have happened that the Steelers are going to fall off for a little bit, it was this year.
Yeah,
this was the year everybody had circled of. All right, they're going to go down. This is the year. Mike Tomlin's not going to be there. If you can't get him this year, what makes you think that? What makes you think that it's going to get worse from here? Because it's not. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, they definitely did what they had to do, man. But what other games surprised you, man, this weekend, man? Hold on. Dougie P too, man. You got to clap for Dougie P, man. Doug Peterson finds ways to win also, man. Him and Trevor Lawrence, man. Trevor Lawrence had a good year, man. Now I got them beating the Titans coming this Saturday.
What in the world happened in that? Because obviously we were at the bar. I was at the bar, so we had a few of the games on. We were not watching that game because there were so many 1:00 games. what in the hell happened in that game that Trevor Lawrence threw for 170 yards and they put up 35 points? What in the world are you? I mean, yeah, it was the Houston Texans, but what in the world? That's crazy. You see teams put up 35. Usually the quarterback's having a huge day. Trevor Lawrence didn't even have a day. He just handed the ball off the whole time.
Man, they did what they had to
But
do.
yeah,
that defense has been playing greedy too. That defense been playing lights out too for them. They've been playing better.
The Titans. I don't think the Titans stand a chance on Saturday. Especially if they can't find anybody. How can they not find anybody to play quarterback? Like, just if you don't have a quarterback, then you need to hand the ball to Derrick Henry every single play.
Derrick Henry was hurt that game.
He was hurt last game.
Yeah, last game. He's playing.
This game coming up, everything is on the line. Derrick Henry, you have to be there. I think that's pretty much what the Titans said to him is, hey, look, take this game off because even if we win this game, we're still going to need you next week. And now they need this game to get into the playoff. Everything is on the line. You play him until he has to get carted off the field.
And you're gonna do Kevin Winslow. What are you gonna do, Kevin Winslow Sr.? You got rolled out.
But he can't. But the Titans can't. Everybody else the Titans have put at quarterback has been awful.
I mean, like they can't find a QB, man. I'm sorry to say this, man. I don't see Mike Vrabel in the future, man, being there. I feel like they're gonna eventually fire him. Maybe next year.
If they don't make the playoffs this year, I could see them making a move. Because if you don't make the playoffs this year, you're probably drafting a quarterback. Why would you want him to work with Mike Vrabel? You want to get a guy in there who can work with a brand new quarterback. You're going to have a totally new system. So yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, I could easily see them moving on. I could see them if they get bounced in the first round. I could see them making a move this year.
I definitely could see it, man. It's just definitely been. I don't think he's a defensive guy. I think they need somebody to come, like an offensive coach, to come because that's their biggest problem. You can find somebody to get a good defensive coordinator to come in there with the offensive mind, head coach, but it's just his play calling. The play calling of the offense, the OCs, just don't make sense. And we've seen how many years he been there? What, like 3 years or 4 years?
Vrabel's been there. I want to say 4.
This team hasn't changed. You know what I mean? Within, you know what I mean. We already know what they are. You know what I mean? And every year they get into playoffs and get knocked out or don't go really past that. So you need somebody to make a difference to build on this team to get them past the first round, the second round. And I don't think he got it. But Beats, what else do you have coming up, man?
Coming up this week, obviously. The big thing I want to get out there is Wednesday. Snowman in the morning will be a total. I'm calling it totally Deets takeover. Okay. Wednesday, if you watch this, you're gonna know why. I've been trying to keep this a little bit different, but one of the main things that I've been very good on is I love Mike Gundy. And when he made that statement, I'm a man, I'm 40. Wednesday, Fifth Down Sports, will be a man, and he will be 40. I will be 40 years old on Wednesday. So we'll be doing a birthday celebration by taking over Snowman Show, and then we'll be doing the Fifth Down celebration on Thursday on the Real Show, and we'll be talking college. Of course, we'll be talking national championship game. We'll recap the bowl highlights and maybe a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit of fun thrown in. Remembering 2022, looking forward to 2023, and of course, breaking down all the playoff action. So we'll be doing all that on the show. But man, I just hope this championship game is not. I hope it's not a blowout.
Me too, man. But and you know what I mean. I hate to say this though, man, but I just see, man, all the delusional 49er fans. I feel like Brock Purdy's definitely going to choke in the playoffs. So I just wanted to be the first one to put this receipt out. I just feel like that's going to be the thing. If they go down, I'm telling you this. If the 49ers go down a couple points, just say 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, Brock Purdy is not going to get you out the hole. So I'm waiting for a team to put him behind to see how he's going to act.
What's the receipt though? Like,
I feel like they're going to get.
If that doesn't happen till the NFC Championship game, that's a win. That's a win for the 49ers. If that happens week 1 of the playoff, then we have a little bit of an issue. If that were to happen on the road in Minnesota, if they have to end up going on the road, you know, things work out where they end up the 3 seed, I would be like, okay, that's expected.
I'm saying this though right now, Deets. I'm sorry to say this, man. I know people won't think I need a drug test. I think the Detroit Lions can give them problems right now.
Detroit, I don't even think Detroit's going to get in, so I don't even think they have to worry.
I think they're going to get in. I feel like they're going to get in, Deets. Their pass rush is looking great. They have the weapons to stretch out.
You think they're going to? You think the Detroit Lions are going to beat the Packers in Lambeau Field?
Yeah, I got them winning.
Lambeau Field on
I got
Sunday,
them winning, Deets.
on the final game of the year. On the final game,
Deets, I want my receipt. I'm saying this right now. I got the Detroit Lions beating.
You have faith in the Detroit Lions.
I got Detroit Lions winning.
I've never heard anybody with faith in the people in Detroit don't even have faith in the Detroit Lions.
I got the Detroit Lions winning. Clip this right now. I have the Detroit Lions beating Green Bay at Green Bay
with a playoff shot on the line. I think it's gonna be tough. I think
they can get to. I'm telling you, they can get to Aaron Rodgers. They can get to Aaron Rodgers over with.
I'm telling you right now, there are so many things that there are so many things in this league that we could talk about. I mean, obviously, the Eagles coach Sriracha, whatever the hell his name is, he's obviously going to be the front runner for coach of the year. But if Dan Campbell can get the Detroit Lions to the playoffs, Dan Campbell should be coach of the year.
I'm telling you, man, people have not been watching Detroit Lions these last couple weeks get to that QB. They've been hurting. They've been tearing people up, the quarterback up. And let me tell you who the secret weapon is coming off that line. A former Jackson State defensive end, James Houston. He had 8 sacks in 3 games.
Yeah. He's he's doing so well that they're dropping Chad Hutchinson in coverage. and Chad Hutchinson had another interception. I don't understand this. They brought this guy in to rush the passer. He's got 3 interceptions this year.
And I think that's smart, man, because he does not have – I'm sorry to say it, Chad Hutchinson, he just does not have any pass rush moves. You look at James Houston, how he goes underneath and can bend and smack off his lineman's hands and gets underneath off his lineman body and get is beautiful, man.
We've said it. anybody who's covered Chad Hutchinson since the draft, I love that about everybody. Oh, this guy can do this. I was like, Chad Hutchinson just is a baller. He doesn't have skills. He doesn't have all he's going to do is outwork the guy across from him. That's all he's ever been. He doesn't have skills. He's not going to be the most skilled. He's not going to win any skills competition. But what he will do is outwork you and bring it to you, and you better have it every time.
And I'm saying this right now, man. James Houston is a problem, man. Next year, if you get a full season, you're gonna have triple sacks. I can see him with 10 sacks next year, 10, 12 sacks next year. That's how his motor off that line is next level.
You got the two end. Detroit's in a good spot. They got the two ends. What I question about Detroit is going into Green Bay with all that pressure on Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
All that, and I'm not talking about pressure from the Green Bay Packers. I'm talking about pressure from everybody outside. Everybody outside is going to be looking at this and picking this apart for what happens, and that's where I think Detroit's going to crumble.
I beg to differ. I think it's all going to be set in tone with that weak Green Bay offensive line. I feel like they're going to get to Aaron Rodgers. They're going to make him uncomfortable. I see Aaron Rodgers throwing a couple picks, to be honest with you.
Usually you would say that's not going to happen, but this year with Aaron Rodgers, this year's Aaron Rodgers very, very well could. But again, and Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay, I think Detroit. This is a snowball for Green. This is absolute dynamite for a landmine for Detroit.
Yeah, that's just my take, man. I feel like Detroit's gonna get it done, and I'm keeping my receipt. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the first one to say it. I got Detroit winning. Detroit Lions winning. But Deets, what you say? You have Thursday. You have Wednesday. You have
Wednesday.
I got
Wednesday take over Snowman in the morning, and then Thursday we have the main fifth down show. So a lot to do this week. A lot to break down, and of course, with the national championship, we got to take it all. We're gonna break it all down. And do the same thing we did last time. The keys to winning and what each team has to do to win.
Okay. And this has been another episode of Midday Sports with Rod and the Lunch Crew / having my regular on Deets of Fifth Down Sports. Go check him out. Go hit that like button for his channel. Hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? Do all that. Make sure y'all have a good, safe Monday. And we're out.